I've looked at a few videos on this channel regarding the belief that people in the past had the ability to live up to 900 years old. Of course, that is total nonsense. But when I saw a video entitled "Incredible Scientific Evidence That Man Lived to 900, I simply could not resist in having a look. Hello all and welcome along to another episode of Tinfoil Tuesday with me, Simon Dan. Thank you very much for joining me. Before we begin today, a huge thank you to the sponsors of today's video, Surfshark VPN. Surfshark is a VPN service that makes online privacy protection easy and attainable, encrypting all internet traffic sent to and from your devices and ensuring that your IP address remains hidden to make sure no one can see what you do online. On top of that, they block ads, trackers, malwares and phishing attempts, and unlike other VPN services, you can use it on as many devices as you like simultaneously. I personally spend as much time online as probably most of you, around 6 to 8 hours per day. The internet knows a hell of a lot about us, so that's why we should care about our online data. Use Surfshark to encrypt your personal information and send it via a secure VPN tunnel so that no one can see it without your permission, which is great for protecting things like your ID. ID theft is an increasingly common and scary crime, and you can use Surfshark and its HackLock system to get alerts anytime your email address or password is compromised. HackLock scans various databases of leaked information and notifies its users if their data is found so they can take action. Secure your privacy with Surfshark. Enter the code SIMANDAN for an extra 4 months free at surfshark.deals/SIMANDAN. Right, on with today's video, which if you remember is about scientific evidence that humans used to live to the ripe old age of 900. The video in question is from the channel Standing for Truth, and of course we know that this is a physical and medical impossibility to reach that age for us humans. But Standing for Truth isn't going to let a little fact like that get in the way of his theories, is he? Let's check them out, shall we?
Question I have for you, and you've done just such a fantastic job answering this question in the past. You put out videos on it. It's a common question, though. And so I wanted to ask you, how do the declining lifespans that are described in Genesis genealogies, how do those convince you about the flood or even just the Bible as a whole?
So I worked in the field of data sciences as a testifying expert for over 20 years in state and federal court cases. I worked as an expert in over 100 state and federal court cases dealing with statistics and regression and data and analysis and research methods and everything. And you just come to the point after doing this for a while where you have like a meta level understanding of data and probability.
Yet despite all of that, you're going to tell us that people used to live to 900 years old. Crazy world, isn't it?
And whoever was recording those lifespans in Genesis chapter 5, and how many years they were recorded and re-recorded and transcribed over and over and again, you can realize that it's not a random phenomenon. And I realized that from the pattern just by eyeballing it.
You eyeballed it and then decided that it was correct. Right, okay, seems legit.
But my gosh, when you take those lifespans and you plot them out, 30 or 40 of them of the pre-flood patriarchs that lived an average of 912 years, then they start declining in their lifespans. Like Noah was 600 years when the flood hit. He lived 350 years afterwards. So he lived to be 950. His grandfather Methuselah lived to be 969. And then afterwards, after the flood, Shem, his son, lived to be 600. Several generations later, you have Peleg, lived 239 years old. We don't have anybody living that long. And then we've got Abraham living to be 175 and Moses living to be, 120.
I am seeing a distinct pattern here with your graph. People are living shorter and shorter lives. However, if we look at the actual data of the average lifespan of humans throughout history, it seems to show a different trend. Since the 1700s, human life expectancy has increased from just under 40 years to over 80. That is a direct contradiction to your theory. Now, of course, most of this is related to better sanitation and healthcare. And that's not to say that some people wouldn't have lived to 70 or 80 back then. It was just much rarer.
So you have what's called a curvilinear decline shape that's going on in these years. So without even getting into the data sciences part of it, which is profound in and of itself. You just have to look at this data and think, my gosh, we have dozens of years of the lifespans of these guys, and they don't fall off a cliff. They don't go from 912 years to all of a sudden 70 years like we see now, or 100 years or whatever. They don't fall off a cliff. They slope down over dozens and dozens of recorded lifespans. They go down from 600s to 500s to 400s, 300s, 200s, down into the 100s.
So does that mean it should continue to decline? Because it does not. And it has not. In fact, for every study done on human lifespan in the eras of thousands of years ago, it was found that the lifespan of humans could have been in the 70s or 80s, not in the 500s or 600s.
You think, well, why on earth would these ancient Bible authors writing with quill pens, with hoodies on and firelight, with little candles and everything, writing on animal parchment, why would they write these declining lifespans? It wouldn't make any sense. No one would buy it. Everyone knows that people only live to be 100 years old or 90 years old. Why would they even write these I can imagine being a monk back in the day, getting the scroll I'm supposed to copy, going, what? 969 years? I'm not going to copy this. This is crazy myth, fairy tale stuff.
Well, you said it, my friend. I'm sure that there's a but coming here, though.
But that's not the case. So they faithfully recorded it over a 2,900-year time span of when those Bible passages were recorded, over multiple generations, and no one changed the years. So that must mean that these guys believed that these years were real.
So these guys believed it, therefore true. That doesn't really wash, buddy.
So that's one. So either they believed that these years were real, or they were all involved in a multi-generational lie to extend the lifespans 10 times more than those people groups were watching people live.
Honestly, that seems more plausible.
That's not a good choice for me. So let's throw the data up on a probability standpoint.
That's not a good choice for me there, so I'll immediately dismiss it. That's what he was saying there.
And look to see if it fits anything that we know from science. Well, it does. It fits what's called a power law curve with an R-square of 0.95, which means 95% of the data points fall along a scientifically predictable slope.
Great. Is that physical evidence, though, that people live to 900 years old? No. No, it's not.
And it's not by chance. And when then you join that probability, that observation, and by the way, it's the probability of that line and the slope existing is like into the quadrillions. When I would testify an expert, all you need to is hit the 5% level of chance. Well, this thing's way beyond the 5% level of chance. It's in the 0.00000. Something's going on with this power law curve, right?
Yeah, you've taken made up data and decided that it means something.
So, and then you talk with an expert geneticist like Dr. John Sanford, PhD from Cornell University. He's like, oh yeah, I'll tell you exactly what's going on. It's a biological decay curve. Anytime you take a population of millions of people and bottleneck them down like in the flood to just 8 people, and they start inbreeding, what happens?
The synopsis of a pretty rough horror film, I imagine.
Mutations exponentially increase. They don't just 10x overnight per generation. They exponentially increase. And while the mutations are exponentially increasing, what's happening to the lifespans? They're exponentially decreasing. You guys, it's a perfect fit.
Mutation would not be your only issue here. If you expect us to believe that these 8 people, who were already all related, by the way, seeded the entire world population, then you're sadly mistaken. The amount of genetic issues that would arise from this would have been simply insurmountable. You certainly would not have the amount of genetic diversity that we have today.
I mean, that thing alone, as a statistician, I look at that, I'm like, case closed, game over.
So there is no incredible scientific evidence then, as you say in the title of your video. There's a statistician's belief, but no actual evidence. Great.
Something happened back in the past that caused the human lifespans to exponentially decline. And it's currently in our gene pool today. The footprint's still there. The fact that our mutations are exponentially increasing. I mean, heck, just go try an experiment with golden retrievers. Take a brother and a sister and breed them.
Dougie?
See how long those puppies live. or take a brother and sister today. There's a 25% chance of a physical mutation occurring if a brother and sister have kids.
Yet Noah and his family repopulated the world. Amazing.
So they're exponentially creating it. For me, it perfectly proves the flood, because you only have two choices. Either those ancient Bible writers with their quill feather pens were carrying along a 2,900-year lie, and they knew exponential math to fit a decay curve that is a parallel curve, making this stuff up, or their real lives and something happened to our gene pool to exponentially increase mutations that would result in exponentially declining lifespans.
I know which option Occam's razor picks.
So for me, I take the latter option. It fits the explanation better.
Amen. That's the most parsimonious answer. I love the way you put it. We literally have the footprints of this in our genomes. The mutation rate is high. Deleterious mutations are accumulating. And so I love how this all lines up, as you put it, Dan, with known biological, mathematical, and genetic related data. We're literally looking at a classic biological decay curve when compared to the genealogies.
Yeah, it's very true. Absolutely.
Yet despite all of that, there is no physical evidence that people could have lived that long, and people are getting older, not younger. That sort of wraps it up for me. Well, there we go. What do we think of that one? Seem legit or a load of old cobblers? Let me know in the comments below. As I say, we're all done and debunked for another Tinfoil Tuesday. Thanks so much for watching today. It is truly appreciated. If you enjoyed it, please do consider subscribing to the channel. We have now just passed the 550,000 subscriber mark, so we're now on the march to 600,000. Incredible. Thanks so much to all of you who have recently subscribed. And of course, if you really like this one, hit the thumbs up button too. Just enough time to once again thank Surfshark for sponsoring today's video. Secure your privacy with Surfshark. Enter the coupon code SIMANDAN to get that 4 months extra free at surfshark.deals/SimanDan. I've been Simon Dan. Have yourselves a great day, and I'll see you all tomorrow for another Flat Earth meme debunking. See you then.